Hey guys, I just went ahead and went live a little early. Um, so I'm just gonna give it a few minutes since I know it was scheduled for like 10:30. I'll give it a few minutes. Hi, Sleuth. Yeah, you kind of encouraged me to do that. It kind of makes more sense to like go back to back because I know like when I watch the creators in our community and you can go from like one live to the next live to the next live. I kind of like that when I have some free time and I can just like sit back and watch. So kind of makes sense for me to just go back to back too. Hey Tammy. Hey Arctic Fox. Oh, and I always forget to turn off that dryer. Give me 1 second. Let me go turn this thing off so it won't be constantly rumbling in the background. Yeah, it would just make more sense too. Yeah. Actually, they're getting back to normal routine now. Um, it was kind of hectic when they were out like over the holidays because they would be up late. We watch movies and play games and stuff, but they're pretty much back on their regular bedtimes now, so there's not all the commotion in the background anymore. Alrighty. So, Cody Bigsby, his dad went to court today, hoping for a bond. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome back. And he was denied. I find it odd that they went way back to pull up an AWOL, and this is why. Okay, they went way back and pulled up an AWOL to say he's a flight risk. He might not show up for court. But there are so many people who get out every day who have not one, but multiple failures to appear for previous court dates and they still get a bond. So the fact that they did that, it seems like they're like, we got to hold him at all costs. We got to keep him here. So it makes me think that they have some type of knowledge or evidence that they haven't really spoken on or even hinted at yet. And they really want to keep him in there because they know what's up. I came across this video. Let me play this real quick for you. Okay, got it in the stream. And it's sharing. Volume is up. Listen very closely.
Saying on the record that your client's the chief suspect in the homicide.
I believe he's been told that by investigators.
Still saying on the record that your client's the chief suspect in the homicide.
I believe he's been told that by investigators.
So the reporter said something along the lines of, I couldn't quite catch those first words, but he said, your client is the chief suspect in a homicide. And the lawyer said, I believe he's been told that. So kind of seems like that lawyer is slipping. He's off his guard. He's kind of leaking information and not really standing up for his client the way he should be. Because if I had a lawyer that did what he just did, I'd fire him. But that could be a bit of leaked information. Arctic Fox, she said, I heard they found blood and DNA evidence inside the apartment. I'm real sure they found some DNA, plenty of DNA in there. If they found some blood, that might spark my interest a little bit because how much blood, where was it at? Was it in an odd place? Whose blood is it? That might tell us a few things if they decide to share any of that information with us. Um, it's kind of really disturbing me that his dad isn't talking. Like, if my kid were missing and I knew where they were, just say it. There's always a small chance that he doesn't know what happened to Codi or where Codi is. I heard about the mattress. I haven't really looked into that part yet, but from what I could tell, I thought they weren't sure if that mattress even belonged to that family or if it was somebody else's mattress. That's the mattress that they got out of the dumpster, right? But from what I could tell, they haven't directly linked that mattress to the Bigsby's unless something has changed. Okay. But yeah, the fact that dad isn't saying anything and his son is missing and the police are saying that his story isn't adding up. Then the way the aunt acts. Okay, if you find that, just drop the link in the chat and we'll definitely read it. I haven't been able to come across anything like that. Of course, most of what I've heard about the mattress has been like people talking in the background, like on Rhoda Young's live or other videos, comments in groups or whatever. So I haven't really found anything directly that says this mattress is linked to them yet. But if you got it, drop that link in the chat and we'll go over that too. The police are not going to say, you're right, they're most likely not going to say a whole lot about the evidence that they have, especially not this early on in the case. I mean, they still haven't found Codi. They've really said is he wasn't abducted and we don't think he walked away. Dad is the prime suspect. So now there was a whole discussion about how he could be AWOL and be honorably discharged. So since he's Army and my uncle is a retired sergeant from the Army, I reached out to him and he explained that the severity of the AWOL would play a lot into um, how it all worked out for him. And being from a military town, I drove cabs. Um, we had like 5 or 6 Navy and Air Force bases mostly in my hometown. We also had a small Army installation, and then there's a couple of Air Force bases not too far of a drive. I was a taxi cab driver, and so I had this one guy, and he would intentionally try to get put out of the military. He would go AWOL. This was before like the don't ask, don't tell thing. He told them that he was, that way trying to get kicked out. He would go missing off base for like days and weeks at a time. Of course, this guy was also stationed at Corey Station, which is kind of like a Brainiac base. That's where they put the smart kids to do the smart tech stuff. And I guess his brain was more valuable than the trouble that he caused because they would not put him out. Other than that, my uncle was saying that if you're just like late, because AWOL could be anything from being late showing up for whatever you're supposed to be at, reporting for duty or drills or whatever. It could be something as simple as being a few minutes or an hour late for something like that to being completely missing. Nobody knows where you are, how to contact you, whatever, for days, weeks, or months. So depending on how long they were missing, the circumstances of how long they were gone plays into how severe the AWOL is and what the punishment is. I think it was Icket Mail did a live today, and there were some military people in there who were talking about it as well. And some of them were saying that AWOL could carry a punishment as simple as picking up trash on the base. Not necessarily a court martial, not necessarily, being locked up or whatever. It could be as simple as picking up trash on the base and being confined to the base, meaning that you can't leave to like go off base for anything, to party, to go to the store, to hang out, go shopping, anything. You just have to stay on base for however long they tell you. So it is quite possible that he could have had some type of AWOL activity during the course of his service and still been honorably discharged. Another thing that they were saying between the chat and my uncle, and I can't remember where I got this particular piece of information, but if he was in the military like 20, 21 years, then that AWOL really doesn't count for anything, and he definitely would have retired honorable discharge if there weren't any other issues during his service. Alrighty. I was looking at these pictures of these apartments because one of the things that I've been kicking around in my mind is, what if this is a situation where he's saying that he's left the kids at home alone? And before I do that, let's watch this video. Let's listen to this. This is a neighbor, and I guess this neighbor must share a wall with them. Yeah, from the conversation that was going on Ikit channel, if you're getting in trouble for something like being an hour late showing up, but you're not actually like disappeared, then it's probably that your CO or your commanding officer has like a personal issue for you, because usually they won't go through the trouble of writing AWOL paperwork because you're a little bit late for PT or a little bit late for whatever your duty assignment is. So more than likely, if it was paperwork on the AWOL, then it's going to be he was missing for like a day or two or something longer than that. But probably not something as serious as being missing for like 30 days or more. I remember somebody specifically saying that not more than 30 days. It really wouldn't be anything serious. This video, this is a neighbor who shares a wall. Obviously, they have to either share a wall with the Bigsby's apartment, or maybe they're the upstairs neighbor. But these apartments look like townhouses, so I'm gonna go for sharing a wall. She says that she's heard the children left home alone. She's heard them crying and screaming or whatever. So I'm gonna play a little bit of this. I'm not gonna play all of Rhoda's content, and then I'm gonna go back over to the apartment so I can finish that thought.
January, like the latter part of January, they were there. The kids was playing in the living room, and the lights was on. It's like he was looking at the house, but then after that, we haven't seen him anymore. It was like 10 something at night. We thought it was just a coincidence.
So 10 something at night, they was in the living room playing. What part of January do you think?
Kids running around, but you know we couldn't tell because we live across the street.
Right.
Now this part right here, this I confused the video. I'm sorry. This lady was talking about at the new house that he bought, that he saw him, at least 3 of the kids, and a woman at the new house that he supposedly bought.
We just passed them, and they had kids in the living room running around, and he was standing. A man was standing on a porch that looked just like him, but it was a lady with him as well. But after that, nobody's been at the house.
And ever since that night, and you say it was about the middle part of January, the late part of January?
Yeah, like later part of January.
And let me ask you this. Do you think you know how many kids he had with him?
It was at least 3 in there because they was running around playing in the little living room.
So it was at least 3 kids. So we don't know if he had all 4.
We don't know for sure, right? And it was dark, and we was passing.
Wow. Thank you for letting us know and keeping us updated that he was in the house with around 3 kids.
Yeah, but Sunday Saturday, they had people walking around, and they said.
All right, and I'm not going to play all of her content, especially because that's not the video that I thought I had pulled up, but I will put this link in the description so you can go and watch the whole video. It's only about 7 minutes long. This lady is just talking about what she saw or what she possibly saw. Now, the thought that I had when I'm looking at these apartments, they look like they're possibly townhouse apartments. The way this comes out here above that door is probably part of the... Well, anyway, never mind. I'm thinking about another apartment that I lived in, but these are possibly townhouses. Let's say he was leaving these kids home alone, as he says he was. Could it possibly be a situation where he came home and Cody had somehow gotten hurt. If it's a townhouse, it's really easy to see that the kids playing. Maybe Cody fell down the steps. I mean, who knows, right? Because we don't know if he was indeed leaving them home alone. What circumstances was he leaving them under? Did he lock them in a room where they couldn't climb up and down the stairs or get into chemicals or whatever? Did they just have free run of the house? Did he have them upstairs with like a baby gate or something to kind of try to prevent them from going downstairs? We really don't have, or vice versa. We really don't have any idea what conditions he was leaving them alone in the house in, so anything is possible. Adding to that, if that mattress is indeed connected to them, I'm going to go on that theory for a second since Arctic Fox, you said you read that somewhere and you're looking for that article. If that mattress is indeed connected to them and is bloody, if it turns out to be Cody's blood, then I guess that would go a lot more toward saying that, they got hurt in an accident while he was away. Still his fault, still neglectful. I'm really not sure how I feel about this case or what I think is going on here right now, for the simple fact that so many things are just not lining up, especially as far as like the way the dad and the mother are, the dad and the aunt, his sister, are reacting. It's so odd. The things that they're saying, their choice of words, their behaviors, their body language, it's like there's no focus on Cody. It seems like the community there in Hampton has more concern for where is this little boy? Is he okay? Let's find him. Let's see what's going on with this than anyone in his family. I mean, when it comes to Orrin and Orson, his family was out there, boots on the ground. Look there, well, those boys, their family was out there, boots on the ground, looking for them, searching for them. Roro still goes on Duty Ron's lives when Duty Ron talks about the boys. She goes on there. She's a cousin, constantly, and just advocates for her missing cousins. She keeps their name out there. She keeps people aware of, we need to find them, we need to find out what happened. And in this case, we haven't seen a single person from these boys' family anywhere, not on social media, not on mainstream media. We haven't seen screenshots where an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a grandma has texted anybody and said, hey, I want to know what's going on with Cory. I'm going to go out and search for Cory. We haven't heard any of these multiple different organizations and private citizens who've been organizing searches and going out and looking for him saying that I heard from his aunt, uncle, grandma, cousin. Nothing. It's like this boy's family just doesn't even really care about him. So I understand from a video I watched, an interview that Rhoda Young Live. I can't talk tonight. Rhoda Young Live did an interview with Cory's sister, whose name I still haven't heard. And she was saying that there are originally only three siblings. It was her and Cory, and they had a brother who was murdered. She didn't mention her parents, so I don't know if they are still living. She really didn't mention any other family. Maybe they're just not a close family, like we were talking about the other night. They're not close. But even in not close families, you would think that there would be at least one person who thought enough of Cory or his sister to say, "Hey, let me say something about my missing relative or my missing relative's kid. Let me put their name out there." We see none of that. And that just stands out so crazy to me, man. Like, I got cousins that I haven't spoken to in years. I've got cousins that I haven't seen even on social media, and I don't know how long. But if they popped up on my feed that their kid was missing or hurt or endangered or something was going really bad for them, I would have to be there some kind of way, even if it was just, in a situation like this, even if it was just me saying something in a group, hey, da 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 da, my cousin's not a bad person, or anything. We don't see anything like that. We did see that Corey's estranged wife, not ex-wife because they're still married, was at court today, and she was advocating for him. She said that she would help him to um, fulfill any requirements that the court would put on him if he was allowed a bond. I can't find the article, but if the blood is connected, that might be why they didn't give Cory bond. Indeed, I really and truly believe that they have some really in-depth knowledge that they haven't even hinted at publicly, because the whole situation with the dad and the way the police handled it just makes absolutely no sense. Hi, Kim. So the only way that I can see the way the police have handled this case from the beginning is that they came across some type of information very early on that tells them, gives them a good idea of what happened to Cody, and that is not good. And I mean something solid. I think right now, I feel like they're just kind of tying up loose ends, looking for some key evidence that they really, really need. I think they just want to put together a solid, airtight case before they bring any more serious charges against him. And I say that because they charged him, apparently it's looking like they charged him with child neglect for leaving the children home alone based solely on his own admission. And that doesn't really sound like a whole lot of evidence, because what if he decides not to testify at a trial? Who's going to be a witness against him if he's the only person that they got that information from? Of course, there is the neighbor. I'm not going to look for the video right now. I had it pulled up. I don't know where it went. There is the neighbor that says she heard the children on multiple occasions crying and screaming in the apartment, possibly alone. But how many people are actually going to go to court and testify? That's the only neighbor we've heard so far that we know of who's even said anything. Her and the neighbor that talked about what she saw at the new house. I just wonder if they're trying to protect one of the children. It's possible. And if that's the case, then it would have to be the oldest, the 5-year-old, because the other two were only 2. There's 5, 4, and then the twin 2-year-olds. And really, it wouldn't even be a matter of protecting the child because the kid is only 5 years old. That would still be protecting himself, because at the end, it's going to fall on him because he left them alone for whatever happened to happen. So that's still covering his own butt. I mean, I don't know. This case has me stumped. Usually I can come up with a good idea of my own, even if I don't share it. I usually come up with a pretty good idea on my own of what I think might have happened or is most likely to have happened. But this one, it just doesn't make sense at all. And then you have the aunt who, she is so adamantly advocating for her brother. When she speaks, it's my brother, my brother, my brother. There's very little said about my nephew unless Cody is actually brought up directly to her. And even then she doesn't really advocate for her nephew the way she does for her brother. So is she in on whatever happened? I mean, maybe she didn't actually do anything, but maybe she knows something. He told her after the fact. They did say that her name is on the U-Haul. I haven't seen documentation on that, but they did say that she co-signed with him for the U-Haul, which is kind of weird because I've never had to have anyone co-sign with me on a U-Haul, not ever. They were in his apartment for 3 days, for 3 days straight, gathering evidence. They have something. Oh my God, I hate that. They have something. You can bet that they don't spend almost 36 hours. Yeah, you're right. They definitely had to come out with something, and then they were coming out with evidence bags, so they found something. Them being there doing the night last night tells me blood evidence. Yeah, they go at night, so it's dark, and the luminol can show things up. Absolutely, absolutely. They still have to wait for DNA to come back. Yeah, this case is just crazy. I'm not gonna stay on here very long. I did want to pull this up though, because his lawyer, when I saw that little clip of that interview and he let that slide and actually fed into what that reporter said, I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right? So I pulled up some of his reviews, right? And he has mostly 5 stars. And of course, anybody that hires a lawyer and the lawyer gets him off or gets him a good deal is going to rant and rave about him. He's awesome. He's amazing. But here are the two that really stood out to me. One says, poor lawyer. I understand he is a court appointed attorney. He never returns your calls and never contacts you to talk about the case unless it is the day of. I understand he is court appointed, but people need proper defending as well. Why be a court appointed if you're not going if you're not going to help you getting paid, win or lose? This one says he was assigned to my son as a court appointed attorney for a felony charge. In the 2 months that he was my son's attorney, he spoke with him once. He never returned calls, nor attempted to reach out to my son. I had to hire a different attorney just to get a bond hearing. On the day of the hearing, my son went to court only to find the doors locked and for him to be told that Mr. Ambrose withdrew himself from the case. Again, not once did he ever reach out to my son. So he's probably, but he's been in practice for like 9 years. So I don't know. Just because he's been in practice for 9 years doesn't necessarily mean he has a whole lot of good experience either. So I don't know if this lawyer is going to help as far as Cory getting away with whatever, or hurt him as far as he doesn't really know how to practice law, so he's probably going to mess up the case. At this point, I'm kind of hoping he's a bad lawyer who's going to make some mistakes so that we can find out what happened to Cody and where he is. I'm going to cut this short tonight. Before I go, I want to suggest that for this case and for many of the other cases that we follow in true crime, go to websleuths.com. I've been a member on this website for quite some time. Whenever they post a thread, it has really good detailed information. The first page of every thread in the conversation usually has all, this one doesn't have it right now, but usually the very first page on every thread has all the information. It has all the articles, all the pictures, all the information, names, dates. You can really get a good understanding and catch up on a case and follow it very closely here on Web Sleuths. This one probably doesn't have that first page with all that information for the simple fact that it's such a new case. Just whoever created this thread probably hasn't had a chance to really put that effort into it yet and put everything in one place. Lastly, hold on a second. Lastly, I highlighted a few things in these two articles that I wanted to share with you. And neither of them is new articles. This one is from the 3rd of February and the other is from the 4th. So most of the article is stuff that we already, yeah, Web Sleuths is awesome. I mean, and you can find cases on there that you probably wouldn't even think anybody would post a thread for it. Candace's sister, Rosemary Bly, she has a thread on there. It's been there for almost as long as she's been missing. There are people from my hometown that I didn't think would be really advertise like that. They have pages on Web Sleuth. Web Sleuth is an awesome resource if you follow true crime. Okay, what I highlighted in this article, investigators from Hampton Police Division and FBI are working to pinpoint where and when Cody was last seen, and they're asking anyone who has encountered him since the holidays to come forward. So they're really trying to pin down that timeline. Um, I'm wondering how long they actually, at this point, how long they're thinking he's actually been missing, especially since they're asking anyone who has seen him since the holidays. So I'm guessing they have some solid evidence that he was seen by a reliable, um, independent witness or on some type of video footage over the holidays so that they know, hey, he was seen around Christmas or shortly after Christmas, but it kind of goes gray from there. The Hampton police have not said when Cody was last seen by anyone outside of his family. And actually, I don't even think they've said when he was last seen by anyone inside his family either, because even the sister, she was asked directly, "What? When was the last time that you saw Cody alive and well?" And her response was, "That's irrelevant. If your nephew is missing, then the last time you saw him alive and well absolutely is not irrelevant." The search warrants are sealed. Um, so we won't be sleuthing any of that. But I have a feeling that once they finish gathering, yeah, that sister is something else. I have a feeling that once they finish gathering or they find whatever this key evidence that it is that they're looking for, that final puzzle piece in this case, then the search warrants and a lot more information is going to be made public for the simple fact that right now they're just trying to keep it on lock so that they can get this stuff together. Yeah, that smoke detector. Unfortunately, I cannot change it the way that they have it. The office actually has to come and change that thing, and that'll be eventually. It's loud. I mean, it is so loud. I got up there and tried to change it because I was listening to a replay of one of my lives, and I was like, "Good God, my ears!" So, guys, I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry about that. Maybe I can light a fire under them so they'll hurry up and come and do that. Um, that right there is just some more of what we already know. Now, it says that local court records don't show a significant criminal history for Cory Bigsby, though Hampton police arrested him nearly 4 years ago after his girlfriend and mother of his children accused him of choking her. The woman said Bigsby woke her up, accused her of cheating, and threatened to kill her, according to the criminal complaint filed in June of 2008 in Hampton Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court. The woman told police that when Bigsby kept yelling and wouldn't leave, she went into the kitchen and got a knife. She said Bigsby grabbed her arm, causing her to drop the knife, then pushed her onto a bed, choked her, and punched her several times in the head. Court records show the assault and battery case was dropped on a prosecution motion in December of 2018. So that right there again, the fact that he really doesn't have a criminal history also makes me think even more strongly that the police know something and they know something solid. Because why would you, when we look at true crime, we see all the time where people with these long records, Adam Montgomery, for instance, are constantly getting out of jail, getting out of jail, getting out of jail. We saw in the Anaya Blanchard case, Ibrahim Yazid, the guy who kidnapped and murdered her, was on probation. I'm sorry, on bond at the time for an attempted murder, I think, and for an assault. So people constantly, yeah, true crime, LOL, but people constantly get out on bonds, even when they have like 10-mile long records, even when they have violent charges. I've seen people with murder charges get out on $50,000 bond. So the fact that they're not even giving him a bond on a child neglect charge, even though it's 7 of them, but no bond. That's almost. It's like, wow. Yeah, exactly. All these criminals that just get out, just bounce around and keep doing whatever it is that they're doing, and getting progressively worse and worse and worse, like Adam. So for him not to have any type of real significant criminal history, and to not, they're determined to keep him in there, says that they know something. They know something, and I am so anxious for them to release what they know. I do want to put this phone number out here just in case anyone happens to be listening who might know something. You can call the FBI at, as a matter of fact, I got a banner for that. Not sure why that banner isn't scrolling. Not doing your job, Savage. You can call the FBI at 800-225-5324, or you can dial the words 800 call FBI. You can also call the Hampton Police Department at 757-727-6111. If you know anything, if you think you know anything, if you heard something second, third hand you think might help, in this is the case where they report everything that you think you know. All right. Here we get to the crux of why he has the charges that he has, the 7 counts of child neglect. Says Bigsby confessed to leaving the children alone for over 3 hours on December 13th, 2021, so he could go buy a vehicle in Norfolk. The 3 youngest children were left home alone during this transaction. The children were left without means or ability to communicate emergency services. A similar situation occurred on January 25th, just days before Codi was reported missing. I have a family member named Cory, so 2 as a matter of fact. We got a Cory and a Cory Jr. These charges are not connected to the disappearance of Codi. The first thing I thought, which logically, he probably had the oldest child with him. Where was the 4th child when he went to buy the car? But logically, he probably had the oldest child with him. If he didn't, where was that child? Was that child with someone? About his lawyer. Now, we did see where on that live, his lawyer was not allowed to see him because he didn't specifically ask for a lawyer, but he did get to see him on last Friday, this Friday just passed. It says Ambrose, that's his lawyer, Jeffrey M. Ambrose. Ambrose asked the father point blank, where is Codi? And they were talking to the lawyer at this point. Where is Codi? Cory said he didn't know, and that he turned all he had over to the detectives. Ambrose says Cory was not at the police station voluntarily for 4 days. He says Cory asked for an attorney Monday and was denied. So, again, that comes into question. I'm not going to talk about that tonight. I just hope that if, in this case, if law enforcement was playing a letter of the law game, that they played it right. Because I absolutely, when this case finally is put together, I absolutely would not want to see this case fall apart based on some type of rights violation. Authorities have spoken to Codi's mother, and she has answered their questions. Police say they still need the public's help with knowing Cory and Codi's last whereabouts, where there has been no evidence so far that leads the investigation to believe that he was handed off to a family member. The mother, usually we try to avoid talking about uninvolved parents, and since she apparently lives in DC and apparently had to come into town when all of this came to light, then based on that information and based on what the police said, she wasn't involved. But there is always the chance there's always open to question because what if she didn't have to come into town? What if she already was in town? Or, and they just haven't discovered that yet. The fact that not even the mother has come out publicly to say anything about her missing son bothers me. We don't even know her name. If my son was missing, if any of my babies was missing, under any circumstances, I don't care if they thought the dad did it. I don't care if they thought a stranger snatched them, they got lost in the woods, whatever. If any of my babies had come up missing, I would be all over somewhere screaming about my kid, my baby, whether it was on my social media and you hear about it because somebody will say, hey, Savage was live on her Facebook going off about where's her baby and why don't somebody do something and somebody better talk, yada, yada, yada. We haven't heard a word from the mom. Nothing. What I'm hearing in the chats and in the groups is that the mother actually had the kids, that the dad, she dropped them off for a visit. Dad decided to move, take the kids. She's been looking for them. If that's the case, why isn't the mother being more vocal right now? Why isn't the mother taking this opportunity to really push that issue? Because if that is what happened, this incident right here might be just what you need to go in front of a judge and say, hey, he stole the kids. He obviously shouldn't have them. Give them back to me. Yeah, that's possible, but I mean, I kind of understand that feeling like people are going to come for her. I kind of don't think that that would be the motive because this woman, I want to think would be the woman who was in the police report from 4 years ago that he abused. And also the simple fact that the dad and his sister are so suspect in what they're saying and how they're acting, and the sister is really coming for the mother. The sister doesn't have anything good to say about the mom. In a situation like that, I would think that people would be more supportive of her. But I could be wrong. I mean, we've seen cases go sideways. She could be scared. I mean, if he was abusive toward her, she could be terrified. And like I said, I'm just talking about what I would do. But then again, I'm not your average person. I'm kind of crazy. So I don't really act like most people act in a given situation. So of course I would be somewhere yelling at the top of my lungs, standing on a building. Uh, um, I'm gonna go ahead and close this live. I really just wanted to take a minute to just put Cody's face out there a little more. Uh, oh, I'm not gonna do all that uploading. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go in here and I am going to get a picture of this cute little boy. I want to say good night, Smooth Mom. I will see you next time. I want to say if you're a praying person, if you're prayerful at all, pray for this little boy, pray for his siblings, because if we have a situation on our hands where Cody was being abused or neglected, 9 times out of 10, that also included the other 3 siblings who were there in the home as well. If you are in the Hampton area, if you know anything, if you saw anything, check your cameras, check your surveillance, dash cams, everything. Check it all. Check your Facebook live videos if you took videos in the area. See if you see them in the background. See if you see their car in the background of your last picture that you posted on Instagram or something. Keep your eyes open for this baby. Keep your ears open in case you hear anything related to this baby. Cody needs to be found. We need to know what happened to him. We need to know who made him disappear in the first place. You can call again the Hampton PD at 757-727-6111, or you can call the FBI at 800-CALL-FBI. Good night, y'all, and I will see y'all next time.